to, and she knows that living is better than lockdowns. Here's Linda. Dun, dun, dun. There she comes. Here we go. And after Linda, just so that you're ready, we got Jack. And he's going to speak for like 2 minutes. You want me to hold it?
No, I want to put it right up front. I have something to say. Hello, everybody! That's going to be a prop for what I have to say, so that's why I'm setting it right up the front there. Yes, my name is Linda Sikes, and I'm a mom and a grandma, and that's why I'm here, participating in these rallies for the future of my kids and grandkids, and for the future of your kids and grandkids. My parents' generation fought for my generation, the baby boomers. So why aren't we baby boomers stepping up to the plate and fighting for our kids and grandkids? We know the history. They were still teaching us history when I was in school. So we know the history and we know the import of what we see happening around us. Where all of the stuff they are building a totalitarian state around us as we speak. So I says, so we know the import of the evisceration of our God-given rights and freedoms, and that has been occurring over since this fake pandemic was first declared. We are also retired, and we cannot be fired for speaking out. So, where are all you grandmas and grandpas out there? We should be lending the pushback against the government onslaught over our rights and freedoms. And I said, it sure is a good thing our parents' generation had some guts. It's they're not referred to as the greatest generation for nothing. On March 17, 2020, when the province of Ontario made a declaration of emergency, there was only one COVID-19 related death, that word related there, in Ontario, and 2 in all of Canada. For this situation, our government put a lockdown on our economy, took away our ability to be economically independent, and burned down the world for 2 COVID deaths in all of Canada. It said a state of emergency did not and never existed, and it was a sheer abuse of authority. Yes, it was. And I was going to thank you to that for that statistic to Paula Tucci, I think is maybe how you say her name. She's going to be a speaker here. She's the executive director of Stand Up for Canada for that above information I just said to you. So in her document, Analysis of Ontario Declaration of Emergency, she lays out for us the criteria and circumstances that had to be met in order to legally invoke a declaration of emergency. Criteria and circumstances that were not met back in March 17, 2020, and are still not being met, even now, on November 24, 2020. Ontario's declaration of emergency was and is unauthorized, invalid, and illegal. So no such emergency ever existed in Ontario, then or now. So now I'd like to speak to dealing with local tyranny and bullying. because this is having a very real, visceral impact on all our lives. And we need to deal with it constructively. And this just happened to me within the last 2 days. And this is partly what this sign is about. I've been asked to speak to you today. It is a direct result of the sign I've been carrying at all of the rallies that I've been at over the last little while, 2 in Toronto, 1 in London, and now 2 in Aylmer. So it was a very eye-catching, very handsome sign with a picture of a World War II veteran who happened to be my next-door neighbor and a lifelong dearest friend in all the world, whom I had also helped write a real kick-ass book about his experiences in the war. That picture that was on the sign was from the dust jacket of that book. So that sign always garnered a lot of attention at these rallies. I noticed today a lot of people are asking me to take pictures of it, even with the sign being changed, or the picture being changed to me. And I think I can truthfully say that it was the most photographed sign at all of the rallies I have attended, including the ones in Aylmer on October 24th. As a result of that rally, I believe it must have been shown in the local newspaper. Shortly thereafter, a letter to the editor appeared in the Aylmer Express, directed at me as I was the one carrying the sign. I'd like to read it to you. So this was what went in the paper as a result of the picture on there. I might note too that this book has been in the public domain for the last 17 years. And this was the letter to the editor. My uncle, and I won't say the names of anyone in here, my uncle, so-and-so, served with our regiment of the Canadian Army. He fought on the front lines following D-Day. He was wounded 9 times and came home at the end of the war with a severe heart condition and suffering from shock. He fought for our freedom and for his country. And believe me, if you read his book, he sure did. He would be spinning in his grave if he knew his picture had been displayed by a bunch of crackpots in a so-called freedom rally. Well, I was the one carrying the sign. An individual wrote this, knew I was the one carrying the sign. So a friend of 45 years standing just called me a crackpot. Publicly. Freedom from what? And then she goes on. Freedom from what? Freedom from responsibility? Freedom from doing their part to contain this horrible disease? How dare you? I guess she's been taking lessons from Greta Thunberg. I don't know if there is a conspiracy by Bill Gates, China, or whoever, but I do know that people are dying. They sure are, but not necessarily of COVID-19. And then she admonishes me, wear the damn mask. Do not have the audacity to imply that a man who fought and forfeited his health for his country's freedom, a man who is no longer living, would ever approve of this carelessness. So now she said, I'm careless. I hate wearing my mask as much as anyone, but it's a small price to pay. I am incensed that anyone would presume to associate my uncle with these people. Well, I'm one of these people. And her uncle chose to associate with me gladly, willingly, and wholeheartedly with love in his heart for 30 years. And I also attend, I've been a freedom rally loving crackpot as long as I can remember. So, hope they'll put it down so it doesn't call again. And the last thing she said was, also, this was an unlawful gathering. Why are no charges being laid? Now, this person traveled through Europe with me in 2001, retracing her uncle's footsteps in all the places he fought battles. And I guess she wasn't aware that she was traveling with a freedom rally loving crackpot. She didn't have a problem with it then. Now, this is someone who's a friend of mine for 45 years. And this was someone that I always regarded as a beautiful soul, a beautiful person. So, if she saw that picture and she was upset about it, why did she not call me and say, Linda, I saw the picture. I don't agree with that line of thinking. It upsets me. I talked to his daughter. It upsets her too. We really like you to take, change the picture, whatever, and talk to me like a reasonable, rational person. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you do such a shameful thing to a friend that you've been friends with for 45 years? This is what this fake pandemic is doing to people. So, I did see she knew the letter was directed at me, obviously, because I was the person carrying the sign. She knew I would see it eventually. Somebody would be bound in it too, but she wanted to make sure it didn't come to this rally. So she called me last night, asked me if I was coming to this rally, and I said yes. And she said, well, she demanded that I take the picture off. She said she'd been talking to his daughter. Okay. And that she said she felt she was in agreement, and she said she's his dad and he's my uncle, and she said it is not up for debate. Well, unfortunately, people who buy in all to the government propaganda and all that, it is always their opinion is the only opinion that matters. Their opinion is law, and it is never up for debate. It is really hard to talk to people. So, anyway, I'll have to go on this really, but I wanted to show you, this was a picture that I chose, very iconic picture. Just take a look of all those freedom-loving rally crackpots in line there. Look at the freedom, look at the crackpot dad, the crackpot mom, and the crackpot little boy. And there doesn't seem to be anybody doing an anti-rally to them, so I guess they didn't, everybody in that generation had guts.
Okay. All better people these days. All better people. Everybody in their basements on social media.
Is that it? Okay.
Scared to go out.